UN must focus on genocide prevention, group says. The Associated Press. Monday, December 8, 2008. New York, the United Nations must put more effort into prevention of genocide through diplomacy and must also be prepared to defend civilians from mass killings when necessary, an anti-genocide group advised Tuesday. The Genocide Prevention Project is focusing on the UN because it believes a multilateral approach is the best way to tackle the problem, said Jill Savitt, the project's director. If it doesn't address these situations, we have to take a look at what the UN is doing, she said. This is the reason for its existence, these crimes. The project recommends that the UN Secretariat and Security Council work more closely with the Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide, getting information on early warning signs to avoid a descent into mass killing. It also recommends that member states appoint high-level officials to focus on genocide issues, and calls on the UN to again consider a permanent civilian protection force. On the group's Red Alert watch list of the countries of most concern for genocide are Sudan, Myanmar, Somalia, Iraq, Pakistan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. The report comes as a task force headed by former U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright and former Defense Secretary Bill Cohen, who both served in the Clinton administration, recommended that President-elect Barack Obama make preventing genocide a priority and called for Congress to provide $250 million a year to deter such atrocities around the world. Tuesday is the 60th anniversary of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide and the 20th anniversary of the U.S. ratification of the treaty. The Genocide Prevention Project has grown from Dream for Darfur, a campaign that worked with actress Mia Farrow to draw attention to victims of genocide during the Beijing Olympics. More than 200,000 people have been killed and more than 2 million displaced in the Darfur region of Sudan. The U.S. has called the killings genocide.
A beloved member of our task force who passed away earlier this year and who is a true leader in the area of humanitarian assistance and emergency response. The report is dedicated to the millions of people who have died as a result of mass atrocities and genocide. Their stories served as our inspiration. The central premise of our report is that genocide is unacceptable and that we can and should do more to prevent it. The United States does not bear this burden alone, but we have both a duty and a profound interest in helping to show the way. As an international leader, we are affected by events on every continent. Our citizens will be safer and do better in a world governed by law, in which human rights are respected and atrocities avoided, where possible mitigated when necessary and punished if they occur. As our report emphasizes, the choice we face in trying to prevent genocide is rarely a case of all or nothing. There is a broad range of foreign policy options between standing aside and ordering in the Marines. The more diligent we are in detecting and addressing potential problems, the more favorable our options will be. In its report, the task force proposes a number of steps to strengthen early warning, facilitate preventive action, enhance our diplomacy, and widen the range of alternatives our leaders will have when emergencies do arise. It also stresses the vital goal of working with allies and friends to strengthen international institutions and norms. In so doing, the report highlights three key areas. The first is leadership. We believe that the United States should treat the prevention of genocide as a top foreign policy priority, and that this spirit should pervade both our national security agencies and the multilateral bodies of which we are a part. The second key area is organization. We recommend that our government create a high-level interagency mechanism that is specifically focused on stopping genocide before it happens. The third area is funding. We propose an appropriation of $250 million annually to finance specially tailored projects in countries at risk. This modest fund would give our diplomats a potentially pivotal tool with which to avert catastrophe. The amount is in addition to America's ongoing efforts in such important arenas as countering terrorism, building peace, fighting poverty, empowering women, aiding refugees, and supporting the growth of democratic institutions. Overall, the task force hopes that its report will attract further attention to what remains one of the great security and moral challenges civilizations has faced. Preventing genocide is an obligation we owe to past victims, to those now in danger, and to those who may find themselves in jeopardy in years to come. It is also a responsibility we have to ourselves and to our own future. We may lack the power to create a perfect world, but we can choose to build a better one. The means are there, and it's up to us to supply the will.
The prevention of genocide is...
Former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright and former Defense Secretary William Cohen both served in President Bill Clinton's cabinet. During Mr. Clinton's presidency, atrocities were committed in Bosnia and the genocide in Rwanda occurred. The two former secretaries teamed up again to work with other national leaders for 13 months to draw up a blueprint to prevent genocide. Albright said the paradox is that the world agrees genocide is unacceptable, and yet mass killings and genocide continue.
The central premise of our report is that genocide is unacceptable and that we can and should do more to prevent it. The United States does not bear this burden alone, but we have both a duty and a profound interest in helping to show the way.
Secretary Cohen said that genocide certainly is a moral issue, but stressed that it is also a national security issue for the United States.
We can't sit on the sidelines while this is taking place. We have to develop, as Madeleine said, Secretary Albright said, the leadership from the President on down through the Congress. We have to develop institutions.
The report says President-elect Obama himself must demonstrate that preventing genocide is a top foreign policy priority. For example, by issuing an early executive order. Secretary Albright said she expects strong support from the Obama administration for the panel's recommendations.
President-elect Obama has made very clear that he is very concerned about Darfur and Congo and various places where we are seeing genocide take place or mass atrocities potentially.
The report says genocide is not the inevitable result of ancient hatred or irrational leaders, and that it requires planning and is carried out systematically. The panel recommends creating an interagency early warning system to analyze threats of genocide and investing $250 million in new funds for crisis prevention and response. A spokeswoman for Mr. Obama said the transition team will review the task force recommendations carefully and that the president-elect is committed to strengthening U.S. leadership and international efforts to respond to genocide and other humanitarian disasters. Mr. Obama and his designated Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, have repeatedly called for stronger action to deal with the mass killings in the war-torn Darfur region of Sudan. Now it will be up to them to take action on the panel's blueprint for genocide prevention. Cindy Sain, VOA News, Washington.